You probably shouldn't be listening to this. I say that not as a warning, but as a courtesy. Because once you hear what I'm about to tell you, once you let these stories into your head, they tend to stay. They don't let go. They scratch at the inside of your skull at night. And if you're lucky, you'll forget just enough to sleep. If you're not, well, you'll understand soon. My name doesn't matter. Who I am isn't the point. What matters is what I found, or maybe what found me. You see, I used to be a researcher for a little-known private archival project, funded through backdoor grants and hush-hush institutions. Think of it as a kind of black hole of unsolved cases, things too strange for police, too obscure for journalists, and too dangerous for the public to know. We didn't investigate hauntings. We collected the cases no one else wanted or survived. Some came in the form of files, tattered manila folders, decades old, sent anonymously with no return address. Others were interviews, shaky voices behind thick glass, retelling what they'd seen in basements, forests, and deserts. A few came as boxes, locked ones. One of them bled. I stayed in this job for 4 years. 4 years of cataloging what we called anomalies, what the public would call nightmares. I wasn't supposed to take any of it with me, but I did. I stole a hard drive before I left. I know. Stupid. But I couldn't let it all disappear. These stories, they were real. They deserved to be remembered. So now, I'm going to tell you 5 of them. 5 cases that were locked away for good reason. Unsolved, unexplainable, and entirely true. Or at least, that's what I used to believe. Case 1. The Toll House Recording. White Hollow, West Virginia, 1998. It started with a tape. Not a CD, not a flash drive. A cassette tape delivered in a brown envelope to a local sheriff's office that didn't even have a fax machine. The envelope had no return address, no markings, just the word "Listen" scrawled in red marker across the front. When they played the tape, all they heard for the first 15 seconds was static. Then, the voice of a young girl. My name is Lacey. If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. The recording is about 6 minutes long. On it, Lacey talks about how her school bus broke down near an old toll house deep in the forest. She and 3 other students took shelter inside while the driver went to get help. She describes the toll house as too old to still be standing, with rotting wood and iron bars across the windows. Inside, there were no chairs, no lights, just a small wooden box nailed shut and a set of names carved into the walls. The box, she says, had a slot on top, like a donation box, and beside it, written in chalk, were the words, "You must leave something behind to pass through." The other kids laughed it off. Lacey didn't. One by one, the other kids put something in the box. Gum, a bracelet, a crumpled photo. But when it was Lacey's turn, she hesitated, said something didn't feel right, that the air had gone thick. The recording becomes chaotic after that. Screaming, heavy footsteps, something breaking. Then silence. And then a voice. Not Lacey's. A deep, unnatural whisper. She did not pay the toll. No kids were ever found. No bus, no driver, nothing. The toll house? Gone. Not a trace. Just the tape. Case 2. The Man in the Crawl Space Calico Ridge, Nevada, 2007. A newlywed couple bought a fixer-upper house in the middle of nowhere. Cheap property, wide land, nothing around for miles. From the beginning, the husband reported strange things. Missing items, lights turning on by themselves, and a rancid smell that would come and go from the living room vent. 3 weeks after moving in, The wife went missing. The husband called the police, swore she vanished overnight. When the officers searched the house, they found a small crawl space behind the wall, paneling in the basement, completely sealed with no obvious entrance. They broke it open and found the wife inside. She was alive, barely. She'd been drugged, restrained, and left inside with only a small hole for air. The worst part? She said it wasn't the husband who put her there. She said it was the man in the walls, that he whispered to her at night, that he could get in without using doors, that he hated when people changed the house. She said he'd been living there long before they bought the place. Police never found any fingerprints, no evidence of another person. But hidden behind a panel near the crawl space, they found a diary. It was written in shaky handwriting. Most of it was nonsense, except the final line. The house is his. He only lets you borrow it. Case 3. The sleep experiment that wasn't unknown. Military research site, 1954. This file came with no location, no confirmation of authenticity. Just grainy photos, incomplete medical logs, and an audio transcript marked top secret beta level. You've probably heard the urban legend version, the Russian sleep experiment. It's not real. This, however, might be. The experiment involved 6 participants, kept in a sealed room for 15 days. No natural light, no external communication. They were given food, water, and something called serum A. The stated goal was to study lucid consciousness, but that's not what happened. By day 3, the participants stopped sleeping. By day 6, they stopped eating. On day 9, the audio logs captured screaming, hours of it, followed by silence. Total silence for the next 2 days. When guards entered the chamber on day 12, they found 5 of the 6 participants dead. The 6th, still standing, perfectly still, eyes wide open. He said only one thing before collapsing. They're still awake in my head. Autopsies showed abnormal brain activity. Parts of the subject's frontal lobes were severely degraded, like something had been feeding on thought itself. The experiment was supposedly terminated, but serum A showed up again, 50 years later, in a private biotech facility. Case 4. The Black-Eyed Boy of Marrow Lane, East Haven, Maine, 2011. Witnesses reported a young boy knocking on doors around 3 a.m. asking to come inside and use the phone. He looked about 10, pale, dirty clothes, hood up, eyes completely black. Every time someone refused to let him in, their house would experience electrical malfunctions within the hour. Lights exploding, phones dead, even car batteries drained. One homeowner, a retired Marine, let him in. His wife was found the next day, unconscious. Her eyes were swollen shut and she had bite marks across her arms. The husband was missing, still is. Security footage from their doorbell cam shows something terrifying. The boy approaches the door, then splits. His face fragments into 3 separate faces, like frames in a broken film reel, each screaming in silence. The footage ends with static. That entire block of East Haven is now abandoned. Case 5. The lost broadcast unknown frequency captured in 1983. This one is personal. It was the last case I ever reviewed, and the reason I left the archive. A radio operator picked up an unscheduled broadcast on an unregistered frequency between 3:33 and 3:36 a.m. It was never heard before, never heard again. The audio started with silence, then a woman's voice, not screaming, not whispering, just speaking, telling a story about a man who catalogued nightmares for a living, who thought the stories couldn't hurt him, who thought he was just a witness, not a participant, and how one day he found his own name in the files. That was me. I was the man in the story. She described the room I was sitting in, the clothes I was wearing, the exact time on the clock behind me. She said I had 7 days to make peace with myself. And then the broadcast ended. I burned everything after that, but some things don't burn. So, that's what I brought with me, just 5 files. But there are hundreds more, each one real. Maybe they're warnings, maybe they're lies, maybe we created them just by looking too closely. But one thing I've learned, as some mysteries stay unsolved for a reason, because they're not done yet. And now that you've heard them, they've heard you too.